How great is this show? How much are we going to miss it? Oh, I'm in denial. I can't believe it's ending. Good afternoon. My name is Stacey Wilson-Hunt, and I'm a frequent guest here, and I love speaking to you about amazing talent, and today is no different. So let's waste no time in bringing to the stage 4 of the stars of Silicon Valley, starting with Zach Woods. Hi, Zach. You can take the far chair. Yeah, exactly. Next up is Martin Starr. There he is. Amanda Crew. It's a little bit easier in front. And finally, Thomas Middleditch. Thomas always finds a way to make things fun. We love it. How is everyone today?
Good. How are you?
Good.
Yeah.
There were a lot of hugs backstage, so they do genuinely like each other, which makes everything so much easier. So before we talk about your amazing show, I did want to dig into the archives of your careers a little bit. Yes, this is going to be fun. So I need to do some fact-checking with you about your first on-screen roles. Thomas, as far as I can tell, yours was in the 2009 Catherine Zeta-Jones rom-com Rebound, playing someone named Maverick. Is this true?
That's false.
Okay, we'll get back to what's true.
I mean, that is a true thing that I did.
Okay.
Wait.
Can you imagine
Maverick?
that was your first one with Catherine?
Yeah. Oh. Wait, was it? No, I think I did a movie called. Well, do you want to know?
No, I'm here to have this information fact check, as it's from the internet and it cannot be trusted.
Is it? I think chronologically, I was in a film called Splinterheads with Leah Thompson.
This one was listed first.
Maybe that came out first?
Maybe
possible.
The Rebound. Yeah, I remember doing that.
Some good.
What did you
credits.
do in this movie? Who was Maverick in Rebound?
They went Catherine Zeta-Jones and a young man. She was dating a younger man. That was the premise of the whole film.
What an amazing conceit for a movie.
Yeah, could you believe it?
It was listed as science fiction.
That's right.
The reviews were bad only because they said it was implausible.
Totally implausible.
But yeah, they went to go see a theater show, and and I was one of the weirdos that was part of the various acts that they saw. So I was cast as a weird.
A weirdo, yes.
Yeah,
okay.
What was part of your act?
I couldn't tell you. I have something strange, I'm sure. Yeah.
All right, Amanda, you're up next. As far as I can tell, again, just basing this on the internet, yours was the 2006 movie Final Destination 3 as a character named Julie. Is this true?
Not my first role.
Okay.
Could you imagine if I just booked like a big?
I mean, that's a big
studio,
franchise.
Like,
That's a jammer movie, though. That's a good one.
I'm just curious your record in general with this game.
This is why I'm fact checking, guys.
Okay.
Nothing can be trusted.
That's the best of the Final Destinations. It's a great film.
Roller coasters.
Yeah.
So that was not your first role, is what you're saying?
That was my first movie,
Your
but
first movie,
my first job was a Canadian TV show for kids called 15 Love.
Oh,
we were tennis players. We were 15. We were in love. And I was a gangly mess on the court.
Beautiful.
And the person they hired to train me to how to play tennis, like
Andre Agassi,
quit on me. Like literally quit because I was that bad.
Oh, you were 15.
Unprofessional.
I like movies like that where it's like someone's like, we have a pun. Is it enough to make into an entire film? Yeah. We have a tennis pun.
Wait.
Can that last 90 minutes?
Let's make it into a TV show. That was my first job.
Okay, that's more interesting than Final Destination.
Did you die in Final Destination?
Yeah, I mean, it's like, did they, didn't they? Because it's the end and it's a premonition, but it's not the actual, like, it didn't happen. Did it happen? It was a premonition.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler.
Spoiler.
You see Catherine Zeta-Jones with a younger man and you have an aneurysm from just incredulousness.
I love that. Wonderful story. Okay, Martin, again, well, just let me know if this is true. The
Good
1992 Gina Davis, Dustin Hoffman movie Hero, and you played a guy in a coma named Alan. Is this true?
I did that.
Okay. Whew.
Did you have any lines?
Nope.
You You're just in a coma.
Not a one. But I met Gina Davis and Andy Garcia, and that was cool.
That's good. And you must have been, how old were you? This is a long time ago.
Young boy.
92.
Yeah.
Young Martin.
Boy.
Don't tell them how old you are because they'll do the math, and
That's
now
true.
we'll all know
That's true.
how old you are.
Good call. I'm going to lie to everyone.
Did you ever do any improv takes where you would speak in your coma?
They did a news report, like I'm up on the screen after I come out of my coma, and they're like, someone's talking to me in the background, and we were just talking, but none of that is heard over the reporter. Oh, motherfuckers.
Okay, at least I got that one right.
So much earlier. No, I don't. I grew up out here, so I worked on like commercials and things when I was much younger. It's definitely not the first thing, but I remember doing a McDonald's commercial where I fell off a bed because I got hit with a pillow by the girl who's playing my sister. And I hit a light, and they leave it in the commercial because they were like, "This is funny. This kid takes a dive," and you can hear me go, "Oh!" when I hit the light. So that happened.
Wait, that's
Oh, wonderful.
Amazing. What
You're
a
a
great overture for the rest of life is like a giant multinational corporation is going to use the sound of my childhood pain to sell more meat.
Yeah. I don't know that it helped their cause, but I watched it and I was like, "There's my commercial," and then it cuts to black and you just hear, "Oh!" I was like, "Oh shit!"
You're modern day Mason Reese.
That was me falling. Yeah, it was a prep fall. I did it for them.
Okay,
Yeah.
Zach, finally.
Yeah.
Did you play a character named Drugstore Cashier in a film called Terrorists? And was this your first on-screen role?
I did, yeah.
Okay, whew, 2 out
But
of
it was
2.
just real terrorist footage. It was Hezbollah produced it, and I get almost
So
no
it was an
residuals.
indie.
He's lived quite
It's
a full
outrageous,
life.
and I think that's the worst thing they've ever done. No, I'm just kidding. It was a little improvised movie that Ian Roberts, who went on to create Key and Peele with Key and Peele.
Yes.
And I played a drugstore attendant. There's not.
Was that your first on
That was it.
Okay.
And Rob Riggle.
You got one
Do you guys
right.
know who Rob Riggle is? Yeah. Rob Riggle is an ex-Marine
Yes.
who's an actor. And this was a very low-budget movie. And there was a scene where everyone is getting into a pickup truck as it zooms away. And because there were no stunt coordinators or anything, this guy started to fall out of the pickup truck. And no one knew. And they're just jamming on the gas. And Rob Riggle just grabbed him by like his belt and like with one hand hoisted him into the pickup truck. And I was like, holy shit, Rob. And he just went, situational awareness.
And we thank him for his service, by the way.
Yeah, thank you for your service.
He's actually a hero.
Yeah.
Well, wonderful stories, auspicious beginnings led you to Silicon Valley. What do you remember about the first time you heard about this show and or your audition or the first whiff you got that this was a possibility for you? And anyone can start who feels compelled.
Amanda? Jokes.
Martin, you can go first then.
I remember being very intimidated by Mike Judge in an audition, which I think happened in Santa Monica, and thinking, there's no way I'll ever get this. This would be a dream
Did you
job.
read for Guilfoyle at that point?
No, Guilfoyle didn't exist. I was reading for Ehrlich, as did everyone, right? We all read for...
Yeah, I read for Ehrlich as well. And you almost got Ehrlich, right?
Yeah.
Well, I actually did
So
get
close.
it, and then, things
What a
happened.
different story it would have been had that happened.
Yeah, they hadn't written a lot of the parts were sort of came.
Yeah, Dinesh and Guilfoyle didn't exist. And then... Yeah, but that was it, I think. Those were the two that
those were
mainly
the two
developed.
that didn't exist at all.
But yours existed, but you were so fluent in Jared that you made them need more of you.
I started acting. They were like, no one's going to buy that this guy hasn't been traumatized just based on his
Add more traumatized lines.
Yeah,
Well, Mike loves to do that, where he just auditions people and thinks, okay, I like you. How can I use you in the show? So it's more of a curating what he has with the sort of idealist cast.
I had been working on an animated show with Mike and John Altschuler and Dave Krinsky, who also created this show for a year. It was for MTV. No one will ever see it. It's not very good. But during that time, they were like, hey, we're writing this show about computer dorks. We think you'd be great for the lead. And I was like, oh, okay. But you don't believe that, right? Because it's Mike Judge and those guys, and it's HBO, so you don't really buy it until you're up in front of HBO auditioning, and the character's name is Thomas. Because it was Richard Hendricks was originally Thomas Pickering, which was my mom's maiden name, which I had told them. So
whoa, you might say it's meant to be.
Well, yeah. Well, they really shoehorned me in for whatever reason. Yeah. I
remember before the callback or it was like a different. We'd read for one thing. I guess I read for like when it was coming in for something else. And I still find auditions to just be these sort of gauntlets of humiliation.
Still, after all these years?
Yeah, I hate it.
Oh.
And
not me.
Yeah.
I have a different approach. I really do. Finish your story.
Thomas is...
I'm not going to share my secrets.
You're just like big dog people. When
you big dog. Yeah. No, it is
do you really like approach. It's less bad.
We've talked about it. You have a very good outlook.
I have trained. I've not trained. It's not always successful, but I try to look at auditions as an opportunity to show someone how good you are, which is... It's a bit Tony Robbins just being like, yes, like it's a bit of that. But I find that slight adjustment takes me out of my desire to apologize. I don't know if you have that. I audition.
My technique is
he's Canadian, so you can't relate to that. But he's always apologizing.
Yeah, I want to back out and be like, I know. But I find that shift really kind of helps.
See, my technique is just confirm their low expectations. I say that to myself. Go in there and prove whatever negative thoughts they have right, and then often I do it.
I guess that it does improve your success rate.
Yeah.
Wait, I want to hear Amanda's origin story with Silicon Valley.
I actually, Monica had been originally, when I got the sides, she was like this female seductress, and I almost canceled the audition because there's one thing I'm not. It's female seductress. So I was just, I can't, she was just sexy and just, she was intimidated. She was trying to manipulate Richard, and it was just, I just was like, there's no way I'm going to get this. But for some reason, I decided to go in. And I remember walking into the audition, got my pencil skirt on that I borrowed from a friend because I don't own one. I got my high heels from her, too. And then I ate shit, tripped on my heels, walking in. And I was like, well... I think I have definitely booked this. But turns out they were already... changing the character
Thankfully,
as we were auditioning, and so Mike was just like, "Oh, forget about that's just do you." Mike hates auditions; he gets really uncomfortable in them. Yeah. So that was my. So I guess I won them over when I tripped. They're like, "That's Monica."
Well, it is a comedy after all. And I would love to know, what were your first impressions of each other that either turned out to be spot on, or now in retrospect you realize were not 100%?
I remember going to a pizza place with you because I was nervous to work with you because I had heard horrors. No, I'm just kidding. Because I was such a fan of Martin. I'd seen Freaks and Geeks and I'd seen Party Down, and he was one of my people. You know, you get those people who you come up watching. Oh, hi. And you just think, oh my God. I mean, I remember watching you as Bill Haverchick and just being like, that is what I want to someday be able to do. So I was really intimidated. And we went to a pizza place, it's next to, I think it was, the specifics of the pizza place don't matter. But I remember you being very sweet.
Judge of that.
You're losing them.
Yeah, fuck. Wait, guys, fuck. Okay, longitudinally and latitudinally, I think the pizza place was in Culver City, but I can't
Domino's,
confirm.
Papa John's.
I don't know. But anyway, Martin was so sweet, and I was the first. You know, you start working with cast, because most of our scenes were with each other, and I thought, is this going to be a bunch of young guys, and it will feel like sort of.
You say that with such disdain, young.
No,
guys.
I don't have to stand for young guys, but there is a thing that can happen where it can get a little as a function of insecurity, it can turn into a little bit of a sort of a macho dick weighing contest at its worst, and almost immediately I was like,
we have very heavy penises.
Yes,
dick
weighing.
Some of the
bring out the scales. Couple of boys weighing their dicks again.
Go.
But
I don't want to look at it. Keep it in the bag. Put it on the scale.
Did you just say keep it in the bag?
Yeah. Keep it in the bag.
Keep it in the bag.
Anyway,
but
continue with your
bag.
story.
It was very sweet. It was like everyone was. I just quickly realized that everyone was as much of a sort of shaking leaf as I felt at the beginning, or at the very least quite sensitive. And then that became such. I don't know. It's so nice. You could just sort of settle into that so much easier than feeling like you had to have sharp elbows out all the time.
Well, I feel like Alec and Mike are particularly good at bringing talent together who they, first of all, they want to work with and who will get along with each other. And it seems like this was reflected in your
Well, they
in your
didn't
early
know
moments.
that, like, a good chunk of us had known each other for years prior to this. Like, Zach and I knew each other from New York, had done improv together. Camille and I from Chicago, even TJ from Chicago many years ago. And they had no idea that that some of us were quite good friends.
Like
Well,
Spielberg casting Bob and Dave, right? Bob Odenkirk and David Cross in a movie.
Oh, yeah.
And he had no idea that they had done
That's
a show
crazy.
together. That was epic.
Oh, yeah.
He found out on set. Anyway.
Very similar. So I'd love to go back to Amanda, what we were talking about, which to hear the way that your character was written early on is a little disturbing now that we know what we know, because that's the whole reason that that Monica is such an incredible addition to the show, is that she's none of those things. And we talked last year at a Paley event that we did about how I can't think of another show that has been so work-focused, professional-focused, where the woman does not engage in romance or any sort of sexual activity with one of her colleagues or male peers. So tell me a little bit about, first of all, was that organic from the beginning? And was there any sense of, would they or wouldn't they Ross Rachel-y type stuff? I know Mike hates writing about romance and sex, so that's like a huge piece of it.
Yeah, I was rooting for it. I was like,
So
let
you
me
wanted it.
kiss all the boys, and he was just like, nope, we will have no kissing on this show.
But have you heard from women who work in Silicon Valley about how refreshing that feels? Not to say that workplace romance doesn't happen everywhere.
Yeah, the women are like, where's the kissing? Where's all the kissing?
Not in McDonald's, apparently.
Not in
This news.
I missed it. What happened?
The CEO had to step down. It's a
step
Because
down
of
for having-
kissing?
Yes.
Yeah, but it was
Keep it in the bag.
keep it in the bag. Don't bring it out. I don't need to know the net weight, please.
But back on track, what have you heard from women who work in tech about your character over the years, and what has it meant to them?
They really identify with Monica, except for the kissing. They're like, I kiss a lot. No, women really identify with it, and really, like, I can't tell you how many women have come up to me and be like, I am Monica, and that look on their face of like, I've been in those situations. It's just weird, uncomfortable situations with the boys. My life. I live for these weird, uncomfortable moments, like this one right now.
It's also so nice that. Oh no, what were you saying?
Go ahead.
No.
Take that mic.
Speak.
Take it, Zach.
I think.
You know what's cool is who's got the heaviest dick now?
Well, I don't know. Take it out of the bag. Let's find out.
You said keep it in the bag.
All right.
What were you gonna say, Zach? Go do.
I don't. What was I gonna say? I don't know. My,
What I will
Doyle
say
rule.
is
my
My
penis
that-
is made of helium. Well, I think. What was I gonna say? We were talking about Monica and one thing I think is there's was a trend for a while in comedies where women were sort of these. They were these almost like emotional utilities to the male characters, where they were these sort of implements of maturation for the men, that the guys get to be these sort of goofballs and the women are these kind of like indulgent, not marms, I guess, or that they're reduced to their femaleness, where it's like, you're a female character and we're going to make you remember it every single fucking line.
Do any of the women in here relate to this in terms of the parts that you read?
Yeah, it's
I have to see another scene where the wife and the husband are getting ready for bed, and the wife's sitting on the edge of her bed, putting fucking lotion on her arms, like that's what we women do before we go to bed, is lather up. Like, it's in
Tell
every,
that to
like,
my
I need
wife.
some business, because like the man's doing his thing and he's ranting, raving, and she's just like,
yeah.
Or it's like Susan B. Anthony. It's like you're either the marm or you're like you know, the beacon of like feminism. And what I think I've just enjoyed as a viewer watching this season in particular, but throughout, one of the things I love about Monica is you're not sort of ghettoized as a woman. She's weird. She's disappointing in ways. She's sort of an asshole in certain ways.
Right.
She's very sweet in ways. And it doesn't feel reductive to me, at least, as when I'm watching you act it and reading table reads and stuff. And I always thought that was nice. I don't know.
I think that's very true.
Yeah, but episode 6 is a pretty steamy sex scene, so watch out.
Lots of kissing.
It's just between Jin Yang and himself.
Oh my gosh, can't wait for that. Thomas, I would love to know how much improv you have been able to, and you're all very gifted improvisers, but specifically, how much have you been able to bring to a certain scene that has ended up making the cut where it wasn't written that way, but you did it, maybe you did a third take, like do one for yourself, and they ended up keeping it. And how open have Mike and Alec been over the years to what each of you is bringing to the table, which, you know, you're very skilled in improvising.
Nobody waited till the third take. I'll just throw that in there.
So it was take number 1 then.
Yeah. Well, a lot of us, everyone had the freedom to contribute outside of the script, but I think that is kind of a two-way street. I think in order for writers and directors, in order to feel comfortable allowing, you know, more room on the leash, is that they have to see that their actors aren't going to just go crazy with it and run outside of the yard, to use the dog leash metaphor. So none of us were trying to like totally rewrite scenes. When they'd say, hey, yeah, try whatever you want, it wouldn't be like, okay, great, let's like improvise this whole scene. It's more like, let's try and find a line, a different reaction, a moment, a physicality, something that maybe wasn't necessarily on the page. That
Are you talking to each other before those scenes, saying, okay, on this one I'm going to do this, maybe you try this, or is each of you doing your own thing, hoping that, oh, we're playing now, we're going to follow suit?
I mean, sometimes when it would require like, hey, maybe don't come so early on that line because I want to try something. Okay, fine. But I think a lot of us, we get great joy out of surprising each other, so that we want to keep our little treasures in our back pocket until we can reveal them. Now I think I'm making a Magic the Gathering reference. Yeah, so, right, would you describe this type of thing?
Yeah, at the end of this series, one of the things that Alec Berg, one of the showrunners, said that I thought was so sweet, he was like, I haven't worked with a group of people where there's so much pitching to each other, which I thought was like something that was so fun. Is like, I don't know, the episodes get all scrambled together, but there was a day on set where I was like, hey, what's something funny? I asked you, I was like, what's something funny that like Gwart could have a sensitivity to? And you were like, what if she like can't have yogurt because it's an aphrodisiac for her or something?
Oh, yeah,
it was like, you just like pitched it to me, and we're constantly kind of like pitching each other stuff, and it's fun.
That comes with great trust, though, because in another scenario, actors pitching other actors stuff, it could be like, whoa, buddy, keep your notes, let the director give me notes, kind of thing, and it would feel weird. But I don't know what the alchemy is to make everybody feel safe. But like, I would personally, I would get great joy about lobbing some good alt lines out there. Whatever's funniest, whatever makes it in, that makes it feel the most.
And that's kind of by the minute. You can't really predict, 30 minutes in advance what you're going to think is funny. It's sort of like take by take.
Yeah.
Zach, I have to say Jared has given us some of the most indelibly special moments on screen for any character this season, and I'm forgetting which episode, where he says he's cleaning up before the custodial crew is coming into the office, is one of the most beautiful, absurd, ridiculous things I've ever. You look like you don't remember saying this. You did.
It's either in the all glass office or the Jack Barker office, but yeah, you
were there late, and you said, "Oh, I'm just cleaning up before the custodial crew gets here." So you were cleaning for the custodians.
That's funny. I don't remember that. Maybe they like animated it.
Were you in a fugue state?
Yeah, I'm fucking high all the time. I have a serious ketamine problem. But
but I'm wondering, do you have a moment that it's hard to parse one out of all the hundreds and thousands. Is there one that sticks out to you as being indelibly Jared that you think, I'm going to miss this guy?
It's so weird. Like, it's so funny talking about it. Since it's the final season of the show, you get these just like weird little surges of emotions. And when you're just saying that, I just felt like, oh God.
I'm sorry.
I think it's nice. It's a nice feeling. I mean, one of the things that was like one of the great pleasures of doing this show, beyond, I mean, there's so many, but one of the things that kept happening just as a function of the narrative is I think there were all these little love stories. Like, we had like Dinesh and Guilfoyle and
That's more hate love, but
yeah. That's I mean,
right.
you
It's
know,
love. It's
yeah,
love.
it's rose by any other name or whatever. And then I think, and I felt the love story between Jared and Richard, however lopsided it may have been, I think was reciprocal. And I think that to me, the thing I keep trying to explain is like I do feel like there is a part of me that will forever be reserved by Jared for Richard, like somewhere in my heart. Like I just love all those little scenes. So it was less about a line or a particular beat, and it was more about like we had so many scenes where we were just like in a dark room someplace, like having some weird heart-to-heart, and a fan did a artwork.
There's lots of fan artwork.
Yeah.
Some of it is a bit erotic.
Yes.
Well, how can it not be?
Yeah.
I
But
mean,
someone did a drawing that was of us sharing tea during a rainstorm,
Aw.
and they'd animated the rain, and that never happened. And on screen,
Yeah. It's
and-
like alone, just the two of us in a coffee shop. Then it's probably just about to close, and we're
Aw.
in some like intimate conversation. It's so sweet.
so sweet. And the fact that the fan made that,
Aw.
it's one of the nice things about a digital age that is basically just an endless horror show of human cruelty. But like, I do feel that one of the nice things is like that it does allow for things like that. Like we get to have
That's
these
good
moments,
internet. That's good
then
internet.
somebody sees it, then creates something that now has become the icon in my brain for an experience I had. And we've never met them, and they've never met, well,
There's
it would be
also-
weird if it was one. Yeah.
There's also a good one of Jared, Monica, and Richard all in bed with the sheets. You don't see anything, but we've all clearly just done some business. And we're just like, whew, like Monica's smoking and stuff. It's all very like, all right, okay, we know what's happening.
bless the fans, right?
Bless those
them.
fans. Bless those fans straight to hell.
Martin, I would love to know how much of yourself, if any, you brought to the character of Guilfoyle, and what did you love most about playing him?
I mean, there's a little piece of, you can't do it justice if you don't put yourself into it. But I think there's an expectation that wasn't there before. I'm certainly capable of dry humor, and that helped this whole thing happen for me. But this wasn't really I feel like it became more a part of me because at screenings like this, at Q&As like this, I've recognized that if I'm myself and do what I think is funny or play into what my comfort zone is, which is much broader than just dry humor, people don't respond to it. They want to see dark and twisted asshole humor from me, and that's kind of it. If this is what's just happened.
You have a lot of empathy for Henry Winkler now in his Fonzie days. Yeah.
He is the sweetest guy.
He is the sweetest guy, but he is not Fonzie, for the record. He is not. He's
Not
Henry.
at all. Clumsy as fuck. No, I'm kidding. He's not at all.
But
You know.
becoming iconic to people, I think you're saying there's a peril to that, because then it's like, but hopefully you guys can see me as this other thing.
Oh, I don't know about iconic, but whatever this is, wherever this has resonated, there is an expectation to see that, and I think that goes for all of us, kind of. But I guess this is more different from myself, perhaps, than I don't know.
It almost feels like a little like halfway between you and Mike Judge in a weird way. Like, do you think that or no?
Yeah, I mean, there was certainly part of me that was kind of doing a Mike Judge impression. He's very subdued. He doesn't have a whole lot of facial recognition. You can talk to him and you don't know whether he's actually heard you until he responds. But he is always paying attention. He hears everything, even this right now. Yeah, there was a little bit of that. The coolest thing about working on this show, besides working with perhaps the most talented group of actors I've had the fortune of working with, is just making Mike Judge laugh.
Huge victory.
And hearing Butthead giggle is the best.
It's very special.
Yeah, resonates deep.
I love that. Amanda, I would love to know, how has this show changed?
Yeah, hold on a second.
Yes. There'll be time enough for that later.
Yeah.
I would love to know how this show has changed for you, what you look for in a project. Because I talk to a lot of people who have great experiences like this, and they feel like, oof, I've been so spoiled. I'm never going to find something like this again, which is true. You literally cannot find something exactly like this. But how has it changed the way you read scripts now and think, this isn't as smart as I want it to be. This isn't the way I wish this woman was portrayed.
Yeah,
How does
I
that
think,
feel?
I mean, the quality of writing is like the bar's so high on this show that, I mean, I remember pilots I was reading the same year that I booked this, and you know, I was younger, so it was very much like it's 3 guys and then there's this one girl, she's the tomboy, and she's like, she says shit and fuck or whatever, and like it's like
This is on network? Okay. Well, they'll have to bleep it.
In her
but
head,
this
she's
could
saying
fly.
shit and
This
fuck.
could fly.
but like it was always this, they were trying to recreate, it was a time where they were really trying to recreate Friends, and so
They
all
still
the
are.
pilots
Every show
were
is, yeah.
the exact same, and the girl character was always the same, and you know, she's like a tomboy but a hot one, and
She can hang with the guys.
yeah, she can be one of the guys, and the level of writing was just, you know, it's just, I'm not a good writer and I could have written it, and so that's like saying a lot. So I think like the level of writing that we had on this show has just set the bar really high. And then I think also getting to work with such incredibly talented people. I mean, comedy, all these guys have done like improv and like stand up, and so comedy is not something that I'm formally trained in or had a big history in. And so for me, I just always felt like I was so challenged on set, but in a positive way and in a very collaborative way and nurturing way. And as an actor, to feel like you're a part of your brain's being used that doesn't always get to be used is like a beautiful thing, because in those other roles it's kind of like I could do this with my eyes closed, and you don't want anything above that. And so for me, it's set the bar very high on the kind of people I want to be working with, and the quality of material that I want to be doing, if I'm so fortunate.
I love that. Good pitch for yourself. I like that.
Anybody hiring?
Anyone? So we have some great audience questions that I'd love to get through at least a few of these. The first is
This
from
audience?
This audience right
Submitted
here.
questions beforehand?
Yes, these have been pre-vetted. We leave nothing to chance at the SAG-AFTRA Foundation. So the first is from Chris Zash. Is that true? Chris? There you go. Hello, Chris. Here
got
he is in
picked.
front.
This better be good.
This better be good, Chris. Chris would like to know, what is the highest number of takes that you had to take due to someone laughing on set or breaking during set? And what was the
Tommy,
scene?
do you want to take this one?
It's a bit of a weird story.
About a minute and a half to tell this story.
Oh, okay. It was there was this, I can't remember, it's season 2 or 3 or something. We were in Russ Hanneman's house, you know, doors that go like this. And he had a kid. It was like a reveal that he had a son, and we're like, oh, you have a son. And the son wanted to go, he didn't want to go to bed. And Russ Hanneman, instead of telling his son to go to sleep, like pressed a button, and like the house had an automated AI that was like, Aspen, go to bed. And that was the scene. But
This is Chris Diamantopoulos'
Chris
character. That's right.
Diamantopoulos, yes. But it was us and TJ and Chris, and then someone who was playing his, like, I don't know, escort or something. And so the kid, you know, he can only work a certain amount of hours. He's a child, so he scoots off when they're done his coverage. And then it's our coverage, and the child's replacement was this very small little old lady. And
They didn't tell us, though.
they didn't tell us, and like of all the things. And so you have this little old lady, and the shot is we turn around because it's like dad, and we turn around to see this kid. And so we
there's
hear,
a whole scene before, so we're doing that.
yeah, we've done this. And then we just hear dad, and we turn around, there's this little old lady. It was like fucking a David Lynch movie. And she is doing her best to give us, because she's like, I want to be supportive of you guys. So she's really acting. So she's going
Being like a
Dad,
kid, yeah.
I don't want to go to bed. And we don't have the actual automated voice. We have our assistant director, Billy Big Beard, deep voice. And so you just hear away from somewhere else, Aspen, go to bed. And you have this deep voice telling this little old lady to go sleep. We couldn't, every time I turn around and we saw this little old lady, I could not laugh. And it took us so long to the point where we excused the little old lady and we put a C-stand with a little tennis ball in there because I couldn't turn around. And I'm laughing and I'm going, I'm sorry, it's not you. It's okay. I mean, it is you, but it's like not what you're doing. You're doing a great job. It's just absurd to look around and see a little old lady. You understand, right? And she was like, I don't know. Like, it was not connecting. It was so weird. But yeah, bizarre. Totally bizarre. Yeah. So that time,
God,
the little old lady.
My stomach hurts. Okay. Thank you, Thomas. That was wonderfully told. The next question is from Devlin. Very cool name, Devlin. Where are you? Second row. There he is. For Amanda, and I actually had this question myself. When the $1 billion offer comes in and you light up 2 cigarettes at once, how many takes did you have to do, and how many cigarettes total did you actually smoke?
Oh God, those are like the clove cigarettes, obviously.
Certainly, right.
Which I feel like the recipe has gotten a bit smoother.
Has it?
Because like first I was like, these are fucking awful, and then by the end I was like, cool, nice and smooth.
Maybe they changed the recipe, if you know what I mean, in there.
Or you just got cooler.
Or you smoke, the cooler you get?
Yes. But I don't know how many we smoked, but I was very.
Who's we?
Oh, me and Monica. Actors, we talk this way. Thank you. I paid for those ones. But I was. It's one of those things with like props where you want it to be fast and of course they're going to cut around it. But just for you as an actor, you want it to be fast and smooth. But so you're trying to grab the one and you're trying to light it. And I was like sweating over. I was off to the side like, okay, if I grab with this hand and like I had a whole fucking system that was not organic, set up to make that look like it was very organic, but I don't remember how many I smoked, but a few.
It was a good physical comedy moment for Monica.
It was a nice moment.
It was a nice moment. The next question's from Brian. Where is Brian? Galise, I think, is the last name. Hello, Brian. Brian would like to know if you have experienced pushback from Silicon Valley at large to the show, and in terms of how close to home it hits. And I know, Thomas, you've gotten lots of feedback from people saying that they feel like they're watching themselves and it's horrifying for them.
Yeah.
Is that a pushback or is that a kudo? It's kind of hard to tell.
I typically get, if I meet someone from the Valley or from that industry, let's say, I'll get I'm summarizing one of two things to say. One, it's like, oh man, that scene, it's so funny. We have a Guilfoyle, we have a so and so. It's like you had a camera there because that happened to me, and I love it as a result. Or I hear your show's good. I can't watch it because it makes me relive the trauma I experienced as a CEO startup. So it's like, but I think that's also a compliment that we've gotten it so right that it's triggering. At
the first premiere, Elon Musk was there, and I didn't know who he was. So one of the publicity people were like, "Do you want to meet Elon?" And I was like, "Okay." I just thought he was some guy.
Some guy with a weird name.
Yeah, right. And I was like, "Hey, I'm Zach. Nice to meet you." I thought he just wanted like a selfie or something. I didn't know. And I was like, "Oh, you're in tech? Okay, well, good luck with that. I hope it goes well." But then after the show aired, he said that like he's like, I think he came around on the show, but I think initially, if you're asking about pushback, I think he was like, they say this show makes it look like our parties are lame, but our parties are like Burning Man times 1,000 or something. And just the phrase like Burning Man times 1,000 is fairly self-indicting in my opinion.
Well, he didn't say Fire Festival times 1,000,
yes,
so that's good.
But that's his perspective, right? His perspective is like from the made it side, right?
Right.
Yeah. Right.
Exactly.
And I was talking to Mike about this specific moment from the premiere at our first season, because he forgot that we say Elon Musk is here at the party. Like, we just reference him in name.
Oh, in the script?
And that's part of why he was like, fuck that. I would never be at that stupid, shitty party. And that was entirely why
he'd never be at your fake party in this show.
Yeah, but it was pretty everyone else was like, yeah, that's pretty accurate. And then he was like, I don't go to parties like that.
He apparently takes his parties very seriously.
Yep.
Damn straight.
Which is the only way to party.
No, that's very true.
Very seriously.
And let's see, probably one more question from Sean. Stay on task, Thomas. We're so close to being done. Okay. Sean.
No,
Rohani.
He wasn't revolting against the system. He was
Partying.
It was an improvised moment.
Yeah.
Sean Rohani. It's a Sean here. It said, hello. And I didn't intend for these to all be questions from guys. It's just how it worked out. Just
Also
wanted to
moving
make-
back.
Sure.
Yes, further and further back into the abyss. So this is a good question, less about
You
Silicon
didn't
Valley.
intend for it. It's just guys ask the best questions. Am I right? Where are my dudes at?
No, I wouldn't. I would
No, this isn't- no, trust me, this is
not-
right year for it.
Pulling
It's the
them
right
out,
year for that.
weighing them. Is that
Oh,
what's
boy.
happening?
I'm
I
so
did-
sorry.
I did skip past all the questions from women, so you're right. It's just the way it works out sometimes. Sean would like to know, maybe Zach, you can talk about this because I know you have a deep well of improv contacts. He wanted to know if building networks through improv and other acting communities has played a role in the creation of the show, and also just generally, what is the value of these long relationships? You guys have known each other through the years. You started out probably making not too much money, doing a lot of stuff for free.
I made a fucking killing in improv. Honestly, I had to take a heavy pay cut to do this show from the 11 p.m. improv shows I was doing. I think.
Well, what is the value of that training and the
that's a good
connections?
question. That's a really good question. I think being an actor, at least in my experience, can be lonely. It can be scary, and it can be bewildering. In addition to being transcendently wonderful, but I think having a community, independent of any kind of like actual technical skills that you learn through improv, which I also think are valuable. The idea that you sort of have your tribe, the people you can go to when you feel a little bit bruised or a little bit at a loss, and that you're not going through the victories and the defeats on your own, to me, I think is the thing that has kept me buoyant, and not just starting out, but now I feel like I can talk to people. I have people I can talk to, and yeah, so I think that's the main value. I also think there's a nice thing sort of baked into the ethos of improv, which is that it's about making your partner look good and taking care of each other. And I think there are communities, like I always thought stand-up seems scary to me because that's such an everyman for himself. So I think the fact that you're socialized like puppies from the time you're very like beginning improv students to like play nice is also an advantage of that. So I'd recommend it. And again, you will make a fucking killing. The money's the big reason.
I suspected this. Before we wrap, I'd love to know what is up next for each of you, very briefly. If you have plans, if you don't, I'm not here to stress you out. If you're still trying to figure it out, you
Existential
just wrapped.
crises is what's
Existential
next for all of
crises.
us.
Why are you asking this?
But you've been wrapped for a month. You've had some time to settle into your new normal. And what's next, Thomas?
Well, I suppose the immediate next is it's funny that we were just discussing how little money you can make on improv. I am shooting an improv comedy special where I will be making some money on it. So yeah, for the past few years, I've been touring with a comedy partner of a friend of mine, Ben Schwartz, and we've been touring.
They
the
sold
country.
out Carnegie Hall.
Sold out Carnegie
Yes.
Hall,
Isn't that cool?
Chicago Theater,
That's
Ryman
right.
Auditorium. Yeah, and I think that is a thing again that you kind of don't really bat an eye with stand up. That is the normal trajectory, but it has been surprisingly challenging and unique for a two-man improv show to take that route. And finally, it's paying off in the ability to record it and hopefully not obliterate the medium for anyone else who wants to try it. Anyway, so shooting that next week in New York. That's the
Wow. Well,
immediate
good luck.
thing. Thanks.
Good luck. How about you?
Scouting for a job.
Okay.
Hitting
Reading
the audition
stuff?
rooms. Oh yeah, auditioning, reading, doing the actor thing. Fun. No, it's I'm just looking for the next thing.
The high bar has
Living
been set.
that actor life.
Good. Martin?
I have a little bit in a movie called Honey Boy that comes out
Yes.
this weekend.
I'm actually seeing it tonight. I can't wait to see it.
Oh, you are?
Yeah, can't wait.
I'll be missing it because we'll be doing the premieres tonight.
Yes.
But I'm really proud of that. I'm really proud of the people involved in that.
You've done a lot of great film work, too, in the
I've
last
been very
5
lucky.
years.
Yeah, I've been very fortunate. Specifically, Elmar Harrell, who directed that.
Mm-hmm.
She's phenomenal, and finally,
She seems amazing.
yeah, she's just kind of developed this platform now and is immediately using it to help strengthen female voices in this business. And I think it's just incredible to watch. As someone who's been friends with her for 10 or 15 years, to watch her find success and immediately use it at its most valuable. That I think is kind of I feel like I'm learning how better to pursue endeavors that help the community that I've been fortunate enough to be around, and other communities with whatever voice I have.
Wonderful.
But yes, thank
Thank you, Martin. Thank you. And finally, Zach, tell us what's next.
I'm volunteering with the Rand Paul re-election campaign. No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding. I just want to say something alienating.
Don't be libtards.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm working with the remaining Koch brother to keep his foundation.
He's a good guy. Don't judge.
I don't know. You know, it's like
they sponsor NPR.
Yeah. Do they really?
Yeah, at the end of NPR
yeah, the Koch
broadcasts, they talk about the Koch Foundation.
That's so weird.
Yeah, yeah.
They're conundrums.
Everything.
What are we gonna
anyway, I'm gonna do. I did a part on another HBO show that is gonna come out at some point called Avenue 5, and I'm trying to learn about. I'm curious. I mean, in the most like sort of nascent stages of it, but I'm curious about directing. I'm so interested in that. So I've just been like reading books about photography, you know, and yeah, and that's it.
All right,
Yeah.
that's enough.
Yeah.
That's enough. Congratulations to all of you. Yes, thank you all for coming, and hope you enjoy the rest of the season. Thanks,
Guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.